and welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda, India's most loved primetime show at 10. Hope all of you had a wonderful and relaxing Diwali. I'm Padmaja Joshi. History has been made in the UK. Not only has a man of Indian origin become Britain's Prime Minister, but someone who remains unabashed about his Hindu faith. Rishi Sunak today officially became the first Hindu to occupy 10 Downing Street. It's interesting also because by virtue of his office, he will now be responsible for advising King Charles on appointments to the Church of England, which means that the bishops of the Church of England will be selected in consultation with a practicing Hindu. Mind you, Sunak's rise to the highest office in UK comes at a time when the country is in the midst of a raging debate over Hindu phobia. But first, let's take a look at how Sunak has put his religious identity at the front and center of his politics. When he was appointed finance minister and he took oath, it was done by placing his hands on the Bhagavad Gita. While in office, he also celebrated Diwali by lighting diyas outside his official residence, 11 Downing Street. The first time ever anyone had made such a gesture. UK media reports also speak of how he always keeps an idol of Lord Ganesh on his table in office, but perhaps the maximum attention was drawn to his religious roots when he performed the Hindu ritual of Gau Puja during his election campaign, or literally worshipping a cow. He also visited the Bhakti Vedanta temple on Janmashtami this year and declared there that it is the Bhagavad Gita that remains his spiritual anchor.
It's very, very special for me to be here, particularly on the eve of Janmashtami. Can I just start by paying tribute to my colleagues and friends who are here from your local council and your local MP, Oliver, because they do an extraordinary job. Now, I will just say this. So I've had it's been a tough campaign over the past few weeks, and I've been giving it everything I've got. But at times of the most difficulty, what Akshata has done for me is to give me the teachings of the Gita. And she has done it. She has done it on the phone, she has done it by message, but it is the Gita that has given me strength. And all of you, by supporting this mandir, especially over the next 2 days, will provide that same strength, encouragement and inspiration to tens of thousands of people. And so from me to you, a heartfelt thank you for everything you do. The work and message and teachings of this organisation are so important, and in the same way they have given me strength, they will do the same for millions of others around the world, and you play a very special part in making it happen. So all I say to you is, Jai Shri Krishna, and enjoy Janmashtami.
Now, mind you, this elevation of Sunak to the top office comes at a time when Britain is in the midst of a raging debate on Hindu phobia. There have been repeated attacks on Hindu places of worship, with 2 instances just in the last few months from Birmingham and East Leicester being particularly horrific. In Leicester, we had shown you how a temple was attacked by an Islamist mob and a saffron flag burnt. In Birmingham, soon after, Times Now showed you how devotees at a Durga temple were abused on camera, called cow shit eaters and cow piss drinkers, even as a frenzied mob chanted Allahu Akbar.
You piss drinking bastards! Go eat some cow shit! Hey, go drink some cow piss! You piss drinking bastards! In the piss drink. You piss drinking bastards!
So this is what has happened over the last few months. Now, with a self-professed devout Hindu occupying Britain's highest office, is this the most fitting answer to all the Hindu phobes? Remember, even the behavior of the Western media with regard to the episodes at Leicester and Birmingham had come in for severe criticism of how they simply refused to accept that this was an unprovoked and one-sided attack. Will representation now lead to real justice and acceptance of what the race realities are in Britain? And could this actually be an Obama moment for Hindus worldwide and particularly in Britain? Or is the religious identity of Rishi Sunak incidental?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us now, Dushyanth Sridhar, Vedic scholar, Touseef Ur Rehman and Ravi Srivastava, both political analysts, Sarah Shah Halim, writer and activist. But my first question is to Manu Khajuria, who is an Indian based in the UK. Why is this important? Why is it important that he is a practicing Hindu? Because most people argue he's basically British. That's how he identifies.
Yes, Padmaja, he is definitely British and there is no doubt about that. He is British, but he is also a very proud and practicing Hindu. And I think this proves that there is no contradiction, there is no conflict of ideology and what his public role is. He is someone who is from a constituency which is predominantly Christian. His constituency of Richmond in Yorkshire is 71% Christians. That constituency that voted him as an MP, despite the fact that we know that he is a practicing Hindu. He has been the youngest Prime Minister of UK in the last 200 years. He's 42. He was a Chancellor of Exchequer. His rise, his trajectory, his political career has been astounding. It's been so fast. He came into active politics only in 2015. So this is a reflection of two things. First, the British society, which is accepted, which has these value systems where someone like him, the first generation, a son of Indian immigrants who, through their hard work, sheer hard work, have given him the kind of education that he has had and the kind of life he has had. And then he himself has been able to give back to that community. He loves Britain, there is no doubt about that. And yet, he is living in a society which says there is no conflict between his religious beliefs and his public roles, because the fact is that he has absolutely brilliant credentials. He is the man that UK needs right now. Considering all his credentials, he's the one who can possibly pull out British economy from the doldrums that it is right now in.
So Sarah Shah Halim, basically it's about representation, and amid this entire narrative of how, there's this militant Hindutva, here is a man who actually represents what a devout Hindu is. He's getting ahead in life, he is the Prime Minister now, and he's done it through the sheer dint of his hard work.
See, Padmaja, he represents anything that a truly global citizen should be all about. He represents a new and modern United Kingdom, and people have voted him for his economic reforms because we have seen kind of a downslide as far as the economy is concerned in the United Kingdom. And people haven't voted him because he's Hindu or because his ancestors were Indian or whatever. They simply voted for him and supported him because he's the most competent person at the moment to take on and be the Prime
all
Minister.
that he has achieved flies in the face of what Hindus are projected as. This entire thing of, there are these rowdies, these militants, this aggressive brand of Hindutva which is being imported from India. What you see on the streets of Britain is the ugly face of the ugly Hindu. No, this is the face of the Hindu. This is, perhaps you could say, this has been imported from India. Middle class, hardworking people who rise all the way to the top.
See, Padmaja, I think we as Indians don't need any validation, I really don't understand why we go so gung, just because, see, firstly, he doesn't hold an Indian passport. His parents never held an Indian passport. He definitely has Indian origins, but in time, he'll prove to be more British than the British because he represents the Conservative Party, and he will stay true to the British government. And definitely, I mean, the cultural thing will always be from India, definitely, and representation matters. I agree with that. However, we must not forget that in good time, because he comes from the Conservative Party, he will prove to be more British than the British.
Dushyanth Sridhar, why this desire for validation and harp on his Hindu credentials? Sarah Shah Halim is arguing he's not been voted because of his religion. Why is everyone desperate to hang on to his coattails and seek validation for Hinduism? Dushyanth Sridhar.
Namaskaram Padmaja, namaskaram to all my fellow panelists, belated Deepavali wishes. So there is this verse that goes Svarbhanur Bhanureshas Phutamati Kalayan Nagato Vegatosya. This line says in the Sanskrit literature written in the 12th century that Rahu was trying to catch the setting sun. Incidentally, today was solar eclipse, the Surya Grahanam, and there is a saying in the British which says that the sun never sets in the British Empire. Probably it is the Rishi who did not let the sun set in the British Empire today. So very quick points, 3 quick points. The first one, yes, he's a Brit. His parents were born in Africa. Maybe his grandparents have their ancestry to the larger undivided Bharata, which includes Pakistan and Bangladesh. So as such, as an ordinary citizen, I can just wish that India has a good relationship with UK. Simple. But there are 2 quick points that I would like to make, Padmaja. One is with respect to the civilization. It is the same Britishers. I'm not talking about the generations of Britishers now. For 200 years, they settled in India. The word may be looted, it may be a bit harsh, but that's the truth. But while going, they called this a civilization that had Charaka, Sushruta, Aryabhatta, Kalidasa, Bharavi, Sriharsha. They called this the civilization of the uncivilized and the barbaric. And look today, even though Hermione was as talented as Harry or even more, she was still called a mudblood. So there will be the stigma of a brown-skinned them in the days to come. I'm just not trying to tell you that way, but of course it's a very proud moment because there is someone from this ancestry. He's a Brit. His parents were from Africa, but yes, there is an ancestral connection with the civilization. The third quick point that I would like to make is with Hinduism. One point that you made, Padmaja, at the opening is when people say that this is a civilization, a religion that affiliates itself with a cow. See, here today there is a civilization, largely people who adhere to this religion and civilization worship the cow, largely. I'm not saying everybody. So from this civilization, we have to keep substantiating that we get paneer, we get cheese and everything from the cow, so we need to love the cow. So there's always questions asked about why do you love the cow? Whereas there is no question asked about why do you hate another animal from another religion? Because I honestly believe, Padmaja, that people do ask questions to Hinduism, to the beliefs of Hinduism, because they know that they will get answers from this religion.
Touseef Ur Rehman, quite ironic that people who were mocked as cow worshippers today are occupying the office of the Prime Minister. A man who unabashedly did exactly that. And it's not a joke anymore, is it?
Well, Padmaja, first of all, happy Diwali to everyone. And I don't understand, I was reading somewhere as a headline that Indian politician is taking place at the highest position in Britain. First of all, he's not an Indian politician.
Indian origin.
Maybe
Nobody
he just
called him
has
Indian.
some
He's Indian origin.
Connectivity, that's for sure. Yes, Indian origin, yeah, but you know, yeah, exactly. But I have read somewhere, it's like the newspaper is very famous, but I don't want to take name. And secondly, you have to understand, like, you know, like the way Sarah said, like, you know, he never got the vote, or he never became a Prime Minister of England just because he's a Hindu. He had done some good work, and I congratulate him.
But look at it the other way. He did not have to disown his faith in order to become the Prime Minister of Britain, and that is important. And why is that important? Let me tell you. In India right now, you've got mainstream politicians from a state that you belong to, incidentally, Touseef, saying, oh, India is a susu potty republic. Let me actually quote to you what the Member of Parliament said. I quote, welcome to our susu potty republic. Drink gomutra, smear cow dung and flush the rule of law down the toilet. Here is somebody who's saying, I am not ashamed, I am not embarrassed, I believe in doing this and I will continue to do it while I'm running for office. And that is why this is important. For people who have been mocked and lampooned as Susu Potty Republic, today you have the Prime Minister of Britain is saying, to hell with it.
No, see, those who are mocking or those who are making fun of anything which should not be done at all, which should not be give courage to anything else, but the only thing is that I want to congratulate the British governance that look how beautifully they selected a minority from the British government, and they are making, it's a huge thing for British Parliament right now. Can't we celebrating this, instead of celebrating what we are doing right now, we should learn from the British governments that how they have succeeded the minority guy and putting him in the highest post of British governments. Isn't that, Padmaja? Isn't that beautiful?
So you see, so this is not about somebody with a Hindu heritage, Manu Khajuria. This is about somebody from the minority. And that is what our takeaway should be.
It's not about Hindu heritage.
It's not about Hindu heritage.
Hinduism.
Why is it not about Hindu heritage? He himself is saying, I am an unabashed Hindu, but you're like, no, he's not a Hindu. Why is it not about Hindu heritage? Why do you want to cancel what the man himself is saying? He is going out and he's saying Bhagavad Gita is anchoring me.
Will India get any benefits?
Sir, he literally said during the hectic campaign, I gained strength and courage from the Bhagavad Gita.
Let me tell you.
But you have decided to cancel out. You said, no, this is not about Hindu.
That's beautiful.
He himself is saying it is about my heritage.
No, that's beautiful. See, that's beautiful. The mayor of London, Sadiq, maybe he said that मुझे सब कुछ कुरान से मिला. He is saying I got everything from Gita, but that will not bring any benefit to India. Is it so?
Okay. No benefit to India, Manu Khajuria.
Will we have
other than you just being happy?
We'll sort down nothing. It's going to come.
How does India gain?
To India. What are we celebrating today? Just a cow dung?
Cow dung?
A few things. Cow dung. See, Padmaja, a few things. Let me just quickly say a few things.
What? No, we are not celebrating cow dung, although there is no reason to not celebrate it either. But if the man is doing it, I don't understand how every conversation somehow just boils down to cow dung and gau mutra, as if it is supposed to be like one big joke.
This is what I want to know. Why every conversation comes in between cow dung and Hindu?
Because the man himself is saying it, sir. Why should it not? This is as facile as saying, why should we talk about Obama and not talk about his race? When Barack Obama became the president of the United States, why was it about a black man in a white house? That is why it was called the Obama moment, right? It was about representation. At that time, his heritage was important. Even Barack Obama is not an African.
So
he's an American citizen. He is, was, and will be an American. But it was about what he represents. He represents a man who wears his identity prominently and proudly. And it's not a joke to him anymore. Manu Khajuria will respond.
Let's give credibility to his tenure. 7 years of tenure. He became a prime minister. Let's give a clap to him. Why we are bringing this religion again into this whole thing?
Padmaja, I think first of all, there is a false equivalence. When we are celebrating Rishi Sunak's success, there is a false equivalence. These comments about, India should learn from Britain. I come from Jammu and Kashmir. We are yet to see a Hindu chief minister. We have seen political parties in power which have disenfranchised Hindu refugees, Hindu Dalits, Hindu women. That has happened in Jammu and Kashmir. So let's not draw false equivalences. Secondly, the fact that Rishi Sunak is a proud British, that remains, but he's also a proud Hindu is very important for the British Hindu community and Hindus across the world or Indians across the world. Because there has been a climate where Hindus...
So that's why India is celebrating. Ma'am, this man will bring no benefits to India.
I'm talking about
we should just congratulate him.
Why it's important? No, it's...
But he is not going to bring any development,
is also important
any jobs,
because in a climate where their Hindus are being attacked globally, where they were asking just a month back in Leicester, when they were supposed to remove the Hindu markers, all the Hindu symbols. People were removing the kalava, on their wrists. They were removing the torans from their house. What was happening globally against Hindus, the jokes on cow piss, etc. I think it's a moment of a great happiness that we have a prime minister who does not shy off from his Hindu identity. That will not stop. In fact, it is the Hindu values which will make him work for all the communities in United Kingdom. He is not a prime minister for Hindus alone. He, in fact, the Hindu values given the concepts of Sarvetra Sukhina Santu, the concept of Karma Bhumi, of Kritagyata, of Janma Bhumi. And he is a reflection of those values.
Exactly. We come to a point, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. Ravi Srivastava respond to this, because everything is not about how is India benefiting. There are Hindus who are staying in the UK who, like we have reported over the last 2 months, because of this increasingly biased depiction of their religion and their behavior and their characteristics, could not even celebrate their festivals. There were people who had to remove their kalava, women who spoke to us and said, we can't go out with a bindi, we cannot have a Ganesh ji ki murti on the dashboard of our car. Why? Because we will come under attack. What does the new Prime Minister do? First thing after being announced as the Prime Minister of United Kingdom, he goes and he puts a kalava on his hand. And that is why this is important, Ravi Srivastava. It's not for validation, it's about representation.
This is all jingoism and symbolic, nothing else. there is a 7.5% population of Hindus in UK. And I don't think that Rishi Sunak's elevation as a Prime Minister is going to help anyway to those Hindus or so-called, the people belonging to that community. I am asking a question. When Barack Obama became a President of the United States, did any Muslim celebrate across the world that a man from our race has become a President of US? No, because for these people, religion has got no meaning.
Black Americans celebrated across the world.
What?
Black Americans celebrated.
Black Americans. I am asking Muslims. He is the origin from Muslims. Anyway, Padmaja, let me tell you some more things. Now I am asking a question that what this man carries, for us, what for are we celebrating?
Okay, very quickly respond to this. Manu Khajuria, how is your lot going to improve as a Hindu living in the UK with Rishi Sunak at 10 Downing Street? How is your lot going to improve?
Padmaja, when Rishi's parents came into England, when they came to UK in the 1960s, there were boards which said no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. Okay, so they faced severe discrimination. From the 1960s to now, when we have a son of the immigrants, a son of a Hindu family, the same Winston Churchill who made such disparaging comments on the Hindu race, on the Indian race, we have someone like him. So we have a British Hindu, British Indian community looking up to Rishi and thinking he has created this spirit of aspiration that we can be here and we don't have to hide our Hindu heritage to be and to be anywhere we want to be, to dream big.
Can I respond?
We feel that our temples have been under attack.
Last month, my daughter was traveling entire UK for almost a fortnight. And she came back and told me that Indians are more racist to them than the Britishers to the Indians. That's the situation there. I mean, what you people are talking?
I am not in the UK, but I don't know what a sample size. I mean, Manu, I think is better placed to reply to this.
Anyway, let me tell you one more thing.
Somebody does not want to be happy about Rishi Sunak's success. We can't help it. I don't know where this case, this evidence is coming from.
He'll be chanting from the Bible. The way Boris Johnson did it when the Queen died. He will be chanting the Bible, not the Gita there. He's a Prime Minister.
He has sworn on the Gita.
Inside of 4 walls.
Mr. Srivastava, he took oath on the Gita even as Finance Minister. He took oath on the Gita.
Let him take. I'm telling you, he will be taking an oath on Bible too. Shortly, you watch it. Nothing is going to change. And these people, what have they done to Indian? His wife was involved in the tax fraud. He himself was having anti-India policies when he was in Boris Johnson government. What are you talking? They are the different people altogether. You keep your Hinduism tightly in your pocket. That's all for them.
But we can't do anything when there are self-loathing Hindus and Indians.
When they are a Prime Minister of the
Mr. Sridhar,
please.
Okay, Ravi Srivastava, you have done some crystal ball gazing and you have declared on behalf of Rishi Sunak that he is going to take oath on the Bible. I mean, I don't really know what to say about that, but Dushyanth Sridhar, respond.
Yeah. Padmaja, of course, there was a question asked during the funeral if he has to read from the Bible, what will he do? He will read from the Bible because as Hindus, we do not have any debts. Can I complete my point? Can I complete my point? Please, can I complete my point? Can I complete my point? Can I complete my point? Excuse me, sir, can I complete my point?
Please go on, Mr. Sridhar,
You spoke. So, see, the point is when he said that he will be reading out from the Bible, there's absolutely no problem because for a practicing Hindu, when we read out words from other holy books, we don't have a problem at all. So if Rishi Sunak is going to read from the Bible, so what does this... See, the point here is there is a representation of a religion which the Britishers ruled, that particular land where Hinduism was prominent for 200 years. There is one person who is a Brit today who's representing that Hinduism, who's coming there and standing. That's all. We are not telling we'll get special privileges or anything of that sort. This is a talk about representation.
Mr. Shiv Sagar Ram Ghulam became a president of the Mauritius. What Hindus gained across the world. Kamala Harris became the vice president of the United States. What Hindus or anybody gained?
Actually, there's a huge difference to compare Kamala Harris and Bobby Jindal to Rishi Sunak is in itself erroneous, sir. These are people who actually never gave any representation to their religion, and which is why we are talking about Rishi Sunak and what he does to his religion. Kamala Harris and Bobby Jindal were infamously described as more white than the white people themselves. And here Rishi Sunak has decided to make a huge departure from that.
Exactly the same thing I am saying. They are the global citizens. For them, religion is not secondary, even tertiary, which they practice in the four walls of their house. Nothing more.
Actually, no. He went out of his house into the UK Parliament, swore on the Gita, went to a temple in public, decided to put on a kalava, went to another place, decided to do cow worship. He has been loud and proud about being Hindu, sir. This is not something that you're skulking about in your house, which is the real thing. Which is the biggest issue over here, Saira Shah Halim, that nobody has to skulk around and say, oh, in order to be acceptable in the United Kingdom, in order to be acceptable as a mainstream politician, I must disown my religion. No.
See, it's not about disowning anybody's religion. All I'm iterating it. He's a global citizen. Now when he is representing UK, he will be representing all the people and not just Hindus or Muslims or any other community. He will represent everybody. Because his job is representing the people of the United Kingdom,
but you are prominently saying that this is my religion. You do not have to disown your heritage and your religion or your identity in order to be a global citizen. That is the point, ma'am. Up till now, you would never have anyone running for office saying, you know, I am a practicing Hindu, I'm extremely proud of it, and I'm going to go ahead and run for office despite all of this.
Everything, see, I think all this is irrelevant. What is most important is whether the man is competent to lead the country or not, and I very well think he is capable enough to lead the country. Whether he's Hindu, whether he's an atheist, or whether he's a Christian, it doesn't matter. The question is whether the man can lead the country in these distressing times or not, and I feel that Rishi Sunak
actually,
is the best
there are two very separate issues. Yes, there is an economic crisis, and he has to address that. I'm talking about his importance in other spheres. For example, and I think Manu Khajuria can weigh on this, in the last 1 year, we've had repeated instances, not just of how people were treated, Hindu people were treated by the general public and in particular by Islamists in the UK, but also the UK media. Is that going to change at all? Is there going to be any difference made purely because one man has landed up at 10 Downing Street, Manu Khajuria?
As you're talking about the media, especially the media, if you look at Guardian, how it represented Priti Patel. It was a Hindu-phobic, racist cartoon of Priti Patel, the Home Secretary of that time. She was shown as a, you know, the illusion or the, as a cow. Exactly. Again, the whole debate on cow and Hinduism. This was from the Guardian itself. And again, I'm saying the premise of your debate today is that does it mean something to the Hindus living in Britain or elsewhere who have seen what has happened to the Hindus in Leicester, in Birmingham, what has happened to the temple? Yes, it means a lot. It means that you can be an able leader, and to be an able leader of a democratic Christian country, United Kingdom. Again, as I said, it's a credit to the British society, but you do not have to erase your Hindu heritage or Hindu identity. And you cannot compare him with Kamala Harris because he's a practicing Hindu. He wears a kalava. He lit that diya, you know, the video that is viral on social media, where he's lighting the diyas and he's placing a rangoli, is when he was the Chancellor of Exchequer. This is 11 Downing Street. That's what he did 2 years back. So it is important for Hindus everywhere. It is a moment for us to celebrate. And why shouldn't we celebrate? He represents that aspiration that you do not have to hide your Hindu identity to be able to do good for the community, for your nation, for everyone.
Touseef Ur Rehman is smiling.
Yeah, of course I want to smile because, you know, my concern is about my country only. And I want to congratulate again to Miss Manu that she's very happy that a Hindu person has become the Prime Minister of England. But I am more concerned about my country as the Hindu Prime Minister of my country is doing nothing good for my country. So should I waste my time on
Indian national?
Mr.
I'm an
Rishi?
Indian national, Touseef
Or should I
so my
be more
country is very
concerned
much
about
India,
Narendra
but I am
Modi?
a practicing Hindu.
He's also a Hindu. He's also a Hindu. Narendra Modi is a Hindu. He's following Sanatan Dharma. What good he has done for my country? I am more concerned, ma'am. I am not bothered about London. I am not bothered about London Muslims. I am not bothered about London Hindus. Hindus.
He is
I'm not bothered about any religion.
representative of all
I am
Indian
only bothered
immigrants
about
in
my
Britain
Indians, my country,
who work hard
my
to
people,
bring up
my
their
development,
children
and I
with
want
good
to work in this
values,
country.
whose children do really well.
The Prime Minister of my country is a Hindu, the Chief Minister of my state is a Hindu, the Home Minister of my India is a Hindu. Nothing good is happening in this country, ma'am.
You can
what are you celebrating and what do you want to celebrate? I don't want to interfere.
You may not be.
I do not want to interfere.
Sir, if you really think that nothing good is happening in our country, the fact is that it's not Narendra Modi alone who's been a Hindu Prime Minister. We've had majority of our Prime Ministers have been Hindu Prime Ministers, and if you think single-handedly by virtue of being Hindus they have done nothing good for our country, then that's a debate that really no one can win. But the reason why we are talking about this and the reason why this representation is important is because over the last few months, again and again, we have seen the representation of Hindus, not just in India but worldwide, as a race that is regressive, that is aggressive, the whole concept of militant Hindutva. And very fittingly now, you have here someone in the top job in the United Kingdom who perhaps best encapsulates what Hinduism truly stands for. Proud, but going about their business, getting the work done, not despite their identity, but because of their religion and their identity. Let's wish him luck. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, Manu Khajuria, Saira Shah Halim, for joining me.